Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. We are passionate about helping people with business and accounting. In today's video, we are going to be talking about some FAQs that I've been receiving. So you guys have been leaving some comments, I've been getting some DMs and some emails asking questions, and so I want to address those in this video. So if you're interested, keep on watching. Before we jump into this video, I wanted to share with you guys that I just got off the phone with a loan officer in our area, and we were just talking through how the PPP loans are calculated. So even though you have other qualified business expenses that you can use the PPP funds for, it's not going to be factored into the calculation. So in order to calculate your PPP loan amount, you're going to take your average monthly payroll. So you're going to take whatever you spent in payroll, you're going to divide it by 12, and then you're going to multiply that by 2.5. That is what you're going to receive as far as your PPP loan. Now, the loan can be used for qualified expenses, but remember, it's still a PPP loan, so the majority of the funds need to be used for payroll costs. So now let's jump into the questions. So the next few questions are going to be related to the second draw borrowers. So the first one that I get commonly asked is, what documentation do I need to show or to prove that I had a reduction in gross receipts? So I have a video, go check that out. That actually shows you how to calculate it in QuickBooks Online. So what the SBA is saying, and I'm going to read right off of my screen here, is that you can submit quarterly financial statements for the entity, or you can submit quarterly or monthly bank statements for each entity showing deposits from the relevant quarter, or annual IRS income tax filings. Another common question is, do I need to include my EIDL funds or my prior PPP funds in my gross receipts? And the answer to that is no. That is not considered revenue. It's not considered gross receipts. So gross receipts is basically whatever funds of revenue that your business made. So revenue is all income produced by your business, whether it be products or services, interest, dividends, rent, royalties, commissions, things like that. The next common question is, I am a sole proprietor. How do I calculate my PPP loan amount? So if you're a sole proprietor, then you need to look on your Schedule C, line 31. That number needs to be positive. If that number is 0 or less, you will not be eligible for PPP. If it's positive, then you're going to take that number and you're going to divide it by 12 and multiply it by 2.5. So you're dividing your net profit by 12 and then multiplying that number by 2.5. So the next question was, I'm a sole proprietor, but I have employees. How do I calculate my PPP because I have employees? So I'm going to look over here and see what the SBA says about that. They say your step one is going to be to look at your 2019 payroll costs by adding the following. So you're going to look at your Schedule C, line 31, net profits. If that amount is over 100,000, reduce it to 100,000. If this amount is less than 0, set the amount to 0. Then you're going to look at your 2019 gross wages, tips paid to employees whose principal place of residence is in the US, up to 100,000 per employee. So you can look at your 941s for each quarter, plus any pre-tax employee contributions, minus any amount paid to any individual employee in excess of 100,000. You can use your 2019 employer contributions for employee health group or group health, life, disability, vision, dental, so basically your benefits. And you need your 2019 employer contribution for retirement, your 2019 employer, state, and local taxes. You're going to add that all up, and then you're going to divide it by 12. And then you're gonna multiply that by 2.5. So in your calculation there, you're gonna take a lot more. So you're gonna take your net profit, you're gonna take the total amount that you paid in wages, plus your employer contribution for your benefits, and retirement and any local taxes that you paid. Divide it all by 12, multiply by 2.5. Another question that I got was, we are a partnership, how do we apply for PPP? So you're gonna need your K-1 for every general partner that is subject to self-employment tax. You're gonna multiply that by 0.9235. If the partnership had wages, then you would include those wages into your calculation, plus any 2019 employer contributions, but you cannot include the partners. So if the partnership has employees, then you would include those costs, the applicable costs that we talked about, your health care, your vision, your dental, all of those benefits, plus the retirement, but you cannot include the general partner. So you would take all of that amount, divide it by 12, and then multiply that by 2.5. So very similar. All of these calculations, depending on the entity, are very similar. The partners do have, it's a little bit tricky, but for the most part, is taking all of your costs, dividing it by 12, multiplying it by 2.5. So another common question that I get is, I have an LLC, which one or how do I calculate my payroll tax? So the way that it's calculated for LLCs, it depends on your tax filing election. So LLCs could be a single member LLC, they could be a partnership, or an S corporation. It just depends how you submit your tax return. So if you submit a Schedule C, then you're most likely a single member LLC. If you file a 1065 tax return, then your LLC is taxed as a partnership. If you made an S Corp election, then you would file an 1120S and you would follow the S Corporation instructions. All right, so another common question that I got is, I got denied the first time I applied. If your lender didn't provide a reason why, then you want to make sure that you look at your Schedule C, line 31, if you're a single member LLC or a sole proprietor. If your net profit was negative, then that is probably why you got denied. So you need to make sure that before you apply, that you know that that number has to be positive. Another common question I get asked is, do I submit my application to the SBA? No, you do not submit your application to the SBA. You have to go through a lender. So a lender is the one who's going to be processing your application and financing the loan. So once you've determined that you are eligible for PPP, then you need to gather all of your documentation, contact a lender, and you're going to submit your application through the lender. Depending on the lender, you may submit your application through their online portal, or they're going to want a paper copy. It just depends, but you do not submit your application to the SBA. Another common question I got asked is, since the loan is 60% payroll, can I use the remaining 40% for whatever I want? The answer is no. You can allocate 40% of your PPP loan to qualified expenses. So those expenses are your rent, utilities, your mortgage interest. You can use it for PPP, for employee personal protective equipment, masks, gloves, hand sanitizer, some operating expenses. Here's a video where I outline what are qualified expenses for your PPP funds. Before I end this video, I just want to share with you guys, if you're a first-time borrower and you did not get PPP the first time around, the first thing you need to do is make sure that you qualify for PPP. Then you need to contact a lender and submit your application. If you've already received a first round of PPP and this is your second draw, you need to make sure that you have spent the first round of funds first. Then you need to make sure that you can prove that you've had a 25% reduction in gross receipts. So those are your two main objectives is, did you spend all the funds already? I would make sure that I can prove that with my support. And then you need to make sure that you actually qualify for a second round of PPP. Contact your lender once you've determined, yes, I qualify, and get in line to submit your application. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, share it with a friend, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.